I remember the first time I joined the gym. I was around 14 years old and I wanted to lose weight. That was my goal. I wanted to look pretty in dresses. I wanted to look pretty in skirts. I didn't like that I had all this body fat. I weighed around 200 pounds. That is very unhealthy. And I remember on the first day that I went, I saw this instructor. She looked beautiful. This woman looked so strong. She was in her mid-30s, so built, like her muscles, you could see them through her shirt. She was wearing like yoga pants, this tight top that had like a quarter sleeve. She looked so good. And I remember I was like, that is my goal. Like I want to look like this woman. Now, a couple of years later, that is no longer the norm. That is no longer what is in fashion. Now, what is in fashion is being scarily thin. I mean that nowadays you look at red carpets and you see celebrities who genuinely look like they are about to be a part of a movie that is touching on topics such as anorexia or on other ED topics. It's very alarming, especially seeing this on people who are so influential to people of all ages, because let's be honest with ourselves, we are always going to be influenced no matter what age we are. We like to think that now that we're in our 20s, when we're in our 30s, 40s, or whatever, okay, you're always going to be influenced, especially by people whose job is to be influential. Like these celebrities, they get paid that much because the industry is well aware that they are influential to their audience. That's why they appear on so many commercials. That's why they have so many gigs. That's why they get paid so much money, because their job is basically just to influence us. And that's why influencers get paid so much. Recently, in the last days, it is genuinely, well, not in the last days, but like in the last years, it is very alarming how everything seems to be basically the Hunger Games IRL. You see all these things that people kind of made fun of the Hunger Games for back in 2013, saying it was so unrealistic, society will never get to that point, and now living in it and being self-aware that this is a very crazy reality that we are living in right now, where people are genuinely starving. And then you have this other part of the population who is starving themselves just to look a certain way, to look malnourished. And I know people are gonna be commenting that, oh, you're thin, like why are you talking about this? I'm well aware that I'm thin, okay? I can tell you that I am not on Ozempic and I am not taking any sort of peptides or any of those things to stay the way that I am. I don't even think I'm that thin. I just think that my collarbone is very pronounced because I have pretty broad shoulders. That's a whole other topic. I know people are gonna be commenting on it, so might as well just say it. Honestly, I have never seen celebrities as being part of the day-to-day life. I always saw them kind of in their own realm, which I know is kind of weird to say. So I typically mostly get influenced by people that I see online, that I see are living similar lives to me, because that seems more relatable. And recently, I have been seeing a lot of fitness influencers that have a very unhealthy lifestyle. And it's very obvious they have an unhealthy lifestyle. Even though all their content is about love yourself, accept yourself, eat well, eat healthy, stay healthy, it's obvious they are not taking their own advice, okay? It is very obvious from the way that they look. Now, I'm not gonna call people out in particular, even though I'm sure that if you have been on social media in the past few months, weeks, or even years, you have very clearly seen the trend of these very malnourished influencers promoting healthy lifestyles, when it is very clear they are not living that sort of healthy lifestyle. And to whoever says that, oh, you can determine someone's health just by the way they look, yes, you can. Yes, you can, okay? I can very well determine someone's health by the way they look. I know there are people who are exempt from that rule, but that is very few in between, okay? That is very few people that might have some sort of health issues or whatever, that maybe you can't determine their health just by the way they look, but the majority of people, you can. And seeing these influencers, seeing these health influencers, which makes everything far worse, because if they were just like lifestyle people or like just making vlogs or whatever, it'll be fine. But these people are clearly promoting their lifestyle as healthy. They are promoting these workouts for you to follow what they are doing in order to have their body, you know, their physique. It is very concerning, the things they are promoting. I know there are a lot of people out there that you have seen. I would like to talk about that because I don't really care about celebrities, really. I've never really cared about what Kylie Jenner or what Jenna Ortega are doing on the weekends. Whatever they want to do, I genuinely don't care. When it comes to actual people that I can relate to because maybe we have similar lives, maybe we have like similar jobs or whatever, when I see them and when I see them having a very clearly distorted view on reality, especially the fact that they are promoting it and they are letting their audience know, this is what I do. If you follow these same things, you can look like me. And obviously, I would like to make it clear that even if you are following their whole day routine, their whole what I eat in a day, their whole workout routines, you are probably probably never going to look like them. One, because of their body type. They might just be leaner than the average person. That is always one thing to take into consideration. Two, they are undersharing what they are not eating. A lot of times when these people do what I eat in a day, it's typically a better eating day for them. They typically are not going to share how little they eat because they know the backlash that is going to come from that. And three, they are probably undersharing how much exercise they do. A lot of them will just talk about like, oh yeah, I go to the gym like 4 to 5 times a week and this is what I do. And it sounds very normal, but you know that behind the scenes, they're probably working out more than they are willing to share. They're probably doing a lot more than they are willing to share, and they're probably taking more substances. Reason number 4, they're probably taking more substances than what they are willing to share. And by substances, I do mean peptides. The craze of this year and what seems to be why a lot of these people are getting the physiques that they are promoting without actually promoting the reason they are getting it, because they always claim it is through their workout, it is through diet, but never actually shouting out all the peptides, everything else they consume, and everything else they probably inject into their body just because they don't want to be honest. They don't want to be transparent. They know it looks bad, so they prefer to stay hush hush about it. And now we go into one of the main topics I wanted to talk about, which is peptides. I will never take peptides. One, because I am genuinely terrified of them. Okay, every time I see them online, it seems so dystopian to me and it seems very scary. I don't think I would ever take them just because I'm very scared of consuming something that I don't have all the research on, I don't have all the information on, and something that is produced in a lab that probably doesn't have a lot of regulations to it. I know a lot of people try to make it seem that peptides are healthier than what other people perceive, and they always try to name studies. A lot of those studies are done on mice. And if you know that a lot of mice studies don't really correlate to human studies, which I think is very obvious. People are not mice and mice are not people. Very obvious. A lot of these studies that people try to say like, oh, this proves that this peptide does this and it is not harmful. It is done on mice. Okay, you can never use a mice study to prove that something is okay for human consumption. That is not how it works. Okay, that is never going to be how it works. And a lot of times the labs that are producing these peptides are not properly regulated. A lot of times the dosage that they claim that come in these bottles or things that you buy are probably not even regulated 100%. So you might be getting a higher dosage than what the bottle actually claims, which I know some people are like, oh, well, that's good. You're getting a higher dosage. If you know anything about medications and drugs, not getting that dosage that you think you're getting can be lethal. So if you're probably getting like maybe even 1 milligram more, that is very dangerous, okay? Very dangerous. So the fact that these things are not properly regulated is very concerning, and it's not something that people should be doing. So the only reason why these peptides are even able to be sold is because a lot of companies label them as for research purposes only. And that kind of is like a loophole that allows them to actually sell them to people everywhere. Now, is this new for the internet? Is this new for mainstream media? Absolutely not. We heard of heroin chic back in the 90s. Also, if you were on Tumblr back in the 2010s, you probably saw a lot of pro-Anna posts. This has been an ongoing thing in society for quite a long time. Why does it come and go? Because trends come and go. Okay, that is the only reason. Honestly, it's just because of trends. Someone you look up to all of a sudden has a body you desire. You work hard to also get that body you desire. And when something becomes popular enough, people want to imitate it, people want to buy it, and people want to fit in. So people do what is necessary in order to fit in. And at the moment, it is being extremely malnourished and extremely thin. A couple of years ago, it was being very curvy. It was being very voluptuous. Is either of them better? Who knows? Because I remember when the whole BBL craze was going on, there were a lot of people that were sadly going to the black market in order to get their body they desired and ended up having very traumatic side effects. A lot of them even passed away because of it. So I think until we get to the point where society kind of just accepts people's bodies for how they are, and until they accept the fact that people come in different body shapes and a different body type, we are never going to be unleashed from this thing of changing your body every couple of years and trying to fit into whatever is in style right now. But will that ever happen? I honestly don't know, because at least for the time that I have been alive, I am only in my 20s. I am only starting my 20s. All I can remember is every couple of years, things changing, what is in style changing, and people who want to look a certain way changing drastically, and very quickly. You're expected for 1 year to look very curvy, have a very voluptuous body, and then the next year you need to lose it all. You need to be very thin. And then this cycle just repeats itself. I am a very big Megan Thee Stallion fan because that woman, she looks like she eats. She also looks like she's very healthy, very fit. Also Rosalia, like those are two women that I always look up to. Not only are they incredibly intelligent, extremely beautiful, extremely intelligent, extremely talented, they look like they take care of themselves the way that everyone should be taking care of themselves. Okay, they look like they work out. They look like they actually care about themselves enough to be doing the proper things to their body in order to be nourishing it properly. Okay, these are a couple of recent photos of them and they look amazing. Because I'm not gonna be here pretending like I haven't fallen for the new trends. I have, okay, I have, and I'm sorry about it. I have fallen for the protein mascara, protein water, protein cookie dough, protein everything. I have fallen for it. But every time I feel like I'm going too deep into that rabbit hole, I have to stop myself and go look up to someone who I think I would be more glad in a couple of years' time that I took their advice instead of the mainstream advice. So just remember, trends come and go, and it is not worth it to risk your life and do dangerous things in order to fit into whatever is going on right now. Because I'm sure for the people back in 2014, 2015, 2016 thought that the whole BBL craze was gonna last for a really long time and that them saving up to do all these surgeries to their bodies was gonna be worth it just for in a couple of years time for them to basically remove it all and lose all the weight and go through all those surgeries basically for nothing. And now here they are. And I'm sure that in a couple of years' time, all the people who did all those peptides, who did all those dangerous things to their body, who are malnourishing themselves for all these years, are going to regret it as well. Because that is just what happens with trends. And you are never going to be happy with the body you have right now because it will always be changing and you will always be expected to keep up. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry this ended in a very sad note, I guess, but I don't know. I think sometimes you just need to accept that things are not permanent and that the world is ever changing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm still unemployed, so I still will be posting very constantly. Bye-bye.